morning and welcome to another edition of Newspaper Today on Osbc TV. I am Adeniyi Adebayo. On today's edition of Newspaper Today, we will be looking at stories that made it to the front page of newspapers all across Nigeria. On today's edition of Newspaper Today, we will be starting the review from Blueprint newspaper this morning. And the Blueprint newspaper this morning has the following stories. Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi off-cycle pools not do or die. Old new naira notes remain legal tender, CBN declares. And those are the stories. And still on Blueprint newspaper this morning, Tinubu appoints 20 commissioners for NPC. And those are the stories that made it to the front page of Blueprint newspaper this morning. And moving on to the Guardian newspaper this morning, inflation, FX, many tariffs compound Nigeria's trade woes. And still on the Guardian newspaper this morning, EFCC arrests OAU students for internet fraud. And still on the Guardian newspaper this morning, off-cycle pools. Kula taxed INEC on transparency as candidates sign peace accord. LASG seals warehouses, stones at International Trade Fair complex. And those are the stories that made it to the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And then we'll move on to the Nation. Written boldly on the front page of the Nation this morning, Senate House agreement raises students' loan to 10 billion naira. Survey project Uzodima's victory with 68%. Emefiele out of custody after securing bail. And still on the Nation this morning, old new naira note remains legal tender, CBN affirms. Bandits took 250 million naira ransom to free 121 Baptist school pupils. And those are the stories that made it to the front page of the Nation this morning. Moving on to New Telegraph, Kaduna, 121 kidnapped students ransomed for 250 million naira, CAN reveals. CBN mandates banks to meet customers' cash needs. And that's coming from CBN this morning. And on the budget 2022, tracker uncovers 8.6 billion naira paid to 26 fraudulent contractors. And those are the stories that are written boldly on the front page of New Telegraph this morning. And moving on to Nigeria Tribune. Nigeria Tribune has the following stories. Olubadan, Ladoja, Ibadan Obas hold advisory council meeting. Peace accord for off-season pools. Seriousness, commitment of candidates in doubt. This was said by Abdusalam this morning. After 151 days in detention, court admits Emefiele to bail. Afenifere criticized NAS over purchase of 160 million naira SUV for lawmakers. And these are stories that you would find on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And moving on to the Vanguard, we'll be reviewing the Vanguard this morning as well. Exchange rates, NECA experts disagree on LG Sergeant. Bill, ex-CBN governor, Emefiele arrives home after 151 days in detention. And still on Vanguard this morning, Senate to probe purchase of 5 billion naira yacht. And lastly, on the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Daily Trust publisher Kabiru Yusuf returns as MPAN president. And these are the stories that made it to the front page of the Vanguard this morning. And lastly, this morning we'll be looking at the Daily Trust newspaper. Written boldly in the front pages of Diri Silver Trade Wars over Violence, Arms Stockpiling. That is written boldly on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper this morning. 4 airlines affected as unions bar flights in and out of Imo State. Despite outcry, Tinubu signs 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget. Old banknotes remain legal tender, CBN. And Media Trust Chairman Kabiru Yusuf re-elected NPAN president. 30 days after abduction, 5 infants dies as 12 villages remain in kidnappers' den. And lastly, war on Gaza. Destruction of homes, infrastructure, war crime, UN experts. And joining me on the show this morning is Mr. Kayode Adebisi, who will be giving insight analysis to some of these stories this morning. Thank you for joining me on the show, Mr. Adebisi.
It's a pleasure. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, we'll start today's program with this story coming from a Nigerian Tribune. Seriousness, commitment of candidates in doubt. That Abdusalam said that this morning in regards to the election that will take place in Imo State.
Well, it's a matter of fact that you all know that in Nigerian politics, they say one thing and they do another thing entirely. So that sign of peace accord, in most cases, have turned out to be mere jamboree. Even in Imo State, where they asked some people not to put the camera on them, led to the riots. I mean, a kind of confusion. So how can you say they should not cover you if actually what you are doing should be for the public interest? So that's also the extent to which the Nigerian politicians, they are just hypocritical. The peace accord, whether you like it or not, even the paper, just sign. You cannot even tender it in the tribunal because you have to show more evidence to show that there was violence. And the people that sign it, they sign it on behalf of the party. But people that normally commit the crime during the election, they are higher thugs who are not even members of the party. So there are so many contradictions in the so-called peace accord between politicians. Whether or not they sign the peace accord, what the government should do is to ensure that they should not play sacred cloud. Whoever that is involved in any criminality, now they are doing the hideout raiding. They have done it in Kogi State. They have raided some hideouts of some thugs, and some of them were killed in the gun duel with the police. So that's what we should do from time to time. So we cannot continue like this when they turn politics and election to war.
Okay, the government should not turn politics and election to war. Yeah, still on Nigeria Tribune this morning. After 151 days in detention, court admits Emefiele to bail.
Well, it's a long story because you remember he was first arrested by DSS. Later, DSS handed him over to the EFCC. Along the line, they have already prepared charges in some courts before, but they later withdrew and they find another charges. That's also to the extent that Nigerian agencies, like the DSS, they have not been doing their work as expected. You can only arrest somebody that has violated internal or is likely to violate internal security or to threaten the existence of the government. Issues of economic crimes will have been handled by the EFCC from the beginning. And if there is any aspect that follows on ICPC, ICPC has also invited him that, come on, you have corruptly used your public office for personal gain. Why DSS in the first place? If you don't have any evidence of terrorism you allege in the first place, you don't need to keep him for long to now show to the whole world or to have impression that maybe the presidency is using them for a vendetta or because of the naira change or political reason. So in an advanced country, they will go to court and even challenge the government and you get the damages because the law says that you can only detain for 56 days. Even that is by the extension of the order from the magistrate court. If they extend the order to you 2 or 3 times and you still have nothing to against anybody, The law says you cannot go beyond 56 days. The law is clear. Why 151 days? The same thing with Rasheed Bawa. You also spend about 130 something days in detention. No single charge has been prepared against him now. And when he returned home, his kin, men and brother, they were jubilating. That to show you Nigerian that you have a lot of hypocrites in the society. If somebody is alleged, even without any charge, people should morally feel disturbed. But they don't feel disturbed. They were jubilating.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm still on New Telegraph newspaper this morning. CBN mandates bank to meet customer cash needs, and the CBN has also come out this morning to say old note remains a legal tender.
Well, they don't have choice, because we want to, by the Supreme Court judgment, the Supreme Court said that the old note must go. The New Testament, so to say, the new note must come by 31st December 2023. As we have now, I don't think the government will have enough financial muscle to start print enough on new notes that will circulate. Whether they want to return the Omefiele new note or they still want to come out with their own new note, that's another problem entirely. And the economy cannot sustain it. The government keep on borrowing and borrowing every day. And you have to pay back this money you are borrowing, whether in the next 10 years or in 20 years. It's a generational debt that are going to be put in the cooler for the incoming unborn generation. So that is just the reasonable thing for now. The old note and the new note, maybe they will go back to the Supreme Court one way or the other. Something has to be done, because the international committee, the investors, they will also be curious to know whether or not they are going to invest their money where they are going to be stranded or not, since there is already Supreme Court judgment for that matter, the Apex Court.
Okay, thank you for sharing insight analysis on that. And still on New Telegraph this morning, we will be talking about the budget. And from the budget in 2022, Tracker uncovers 8.6 billion paid to 26 fraudulent contractors. And Mr. President has also signed the contract, the supplementary budget for 2023.
That's what we are saying, that the case of process and industrial developments against Nigeria, that wet gas case, has shown that a lot of Nigerian officials, they are always involved in siphoning Nigerian people. How come that somebody will say you want to do contractor thing, no land, no equipment in the site, you are still claiming that Nigeria did not supply wet gas? You still have the audacity to get 9 billion in the first instance damages. So, and those parts are very glaring, that the Nigerian officials were involved from the beginning. The agreement that ought to be signed finally by Mr. President then was just signed by an agency without even involving the Malami being the chief legal officer. How come did they do that? Because it was done in the era of Yaradua. So, if not for the courage of Malami era and Buhari, I said no, I will not pay that settlement arrangement by Jonathan, $850 million to settle this company. They challenged it successfully. We will have been in more trouble than this one we are facing. So all contracts should be seriously vetted by the Office of Attorney General of the Federation. The agency should not be given the maximum or total autonomy to determine, even if the law says so, they should set up a mechanism that will be coordinated by the Attorney General Office in particular, so that Nigerian people will not be shortchanged anymore.
Okay, thank you for that. And we'll then move on to the Nation newspaper this morning, and this story is written boldly, standing all alone. It says Senate House agreement raises student loan to 10 billion naira. Is this good news for Nigerian students?
Not until they see themselves, not until they are collecting this money. These are just on paper. They are buying 160 million cruiser Jeep for themselves, each one of them, running into 57 billion naira. And you are saying you are giving them loan. How sure are you going to even recoup this loan? Because when they graduate, no job. So, and you cannot say you are going to arrest them or the sorting. Even the sorting may not be able to pay. So the best thing the government should have done is to give them bursary. Give them bursary, maybe 50,000 each or 100,000, depending on the cost and the location. Forget about this issue of loan. At the end of it, you see that it collapse. In the US, they try it, even advanced country. Up to now, they are still recovering the loan given to their citizens. They cannot pay because there is no economy we have with that to sustain.
Okay, thank you for that. And we then move on to Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Nigeria discovers new crude oil grade. Reps move to probe shortfalls in oil revenue.
Well, it has been there for long. There have been a lot of stealing of our crude oil, right from the era of Yaradua, from Obasanjo. But what have they done? If we discover new oil well today, there is no assurance that Nigerian people will be the greatest beneficiary. We have the collaborators within Nigeria, the so-called politician political class, collaborating with the external thieves, siphoning our commonwealth. Look at the Abacha loot. All this money are from, most of the money are from the wealth of the oil, apart from the taxes from the company. There are so many countries that we don't know that are having this Abacha loot. They have not declared to us. There's only a few of them that have declared that we are recovering on conditions. So it means that the political class, they are the one that killed this country. And that is why you have the issue of graduates being arrested for cyber crimes. They are frustrated. Gone are the days when we were there that people will be focused on reading alone. They are reading on how to do people. Even on every Saturday, I personally have received so many training courses, but I haven't gotten the knowledge before. I just pretended as if I don't know what is happening. Are you Mr. Define? Your bank account is this. Send your bank account, and I said, don't worry, I will call you back. So those are there are many frustrations in the society. That is the reason why we have this issue of corruption everywhere and there. So if the political class, they don't get it right, they don't get themselves punished, then don't expect the followers to follow suit. Corruption is everywhere, and it's getting endemic on daily basis.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And moving on to the Guardian newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Senate to probe purchase of 5 billion naira yacht.
Yeah, what are they probing? The contract has been signed during Buhari era. It has been delivered, but it was not budgeted for that time. So what the present government just doing is to put it in the supplementary budget so that it will be reflected that the government actually approve it. So it's good that they probe it, but at the end of the day, will they say that they should return the yacht to the company that produced it, or will they say that the yacht should be sold? But it's not necessary. So once the presidency has even forwarded the thing in the supplementary, included it in the supplementary, so that the presidency has approved it, and because we don't have wider enlightenment, there is no information given ahead. People have been told that it's not the president that will be entering this thing in the CO. It's for the security purpose, and that's the international practice. That yacht is very wide, very big, has a lot of modern day equipment inside. That it is used to fight this oil theft. It's essentially built to fight the oil theft in the marine area of our economy. So those information are not in the public. People just think that just for luxury,
just for fun,
just like other people we have in their backyard. No, this one is even for the naval something to enlighten the people.
Okay, so thank you for that, because most Nigerians don't really know.
They don't know, but because of the already frustrated people in the land. The economy is already bastardized. So when people have like 5 billion for just one or what we judge them, so there's no enlightenment.
Okay, I think the government has something to do about that.
Yes.
And moving on to the Voice of Liberty this morning, food security. Wheat seeds arrive Nigeria ahead of dry season farming.
Well, it has been as a result of, these people, Ukraine, the Russian people, they produce it most. And because of the war going on there, it has been delayed. We need it to produce so many things in Nigeria. We don't have, I don't think we have any cultivated land for wheat in Nigeria. So most of the wheat-related products and materials are imported. So that's why you see the prices of these products are very, very high. So maybe we should develop our own local wheat by the involvement of the scientists. So able to develop the seed where they can at least to supplement the importation.
Okay, thank you for that. We then move on to the Punch newspaper this morning. FG stops electricity tariff hike, insists on subsidy.
Well, I don't know how we are going to implement that. Electricity tariff is getting high on daily basis.
Yes, sir.
Even for the domestic users, not to talk of industrial consumers. So all these are just policy on paper. The reality is that people are paying beyond their nose. So, and that's why you have the rampant issues of energy theft. People tampering with prepaid meters, so rampant. So many of them have cases like that with me. So it's because the government, they have not done the right thing as far as this issue of electricity is concerned. By now, it should have been generating more than 50,000 megawatts on a yearly basis. But what are they, how much are they generating? We have of electricity grid collapse on daily basis.
Okay, thank you so much. And lastly, this morning, still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we are going to the off-season polls. Electronic collations illegal, says INEC, and then police wants NLC.
Well, and that's from the Supreme Court judgment, it said that INEC is not bound to transmit electronically, but if they promise, so far there is opportunity for them to transfer or transmit the result, because what you have done, collation is done at the polling units. So the manual aspect of it is still the foundation. Once there is no problem with the what you recorded in the form is EAT, you cannot say because IRF does not show the result of the unit. That cannot be a ground for challenge the election. So because the mother is the manual, the child is the IRF. If the mother exists, no matter what happened to the child, it's not a child, it's a child baby.
Okay, thank you for that. And on this note, we've come to the end of today's edition of Newspaper Today on Osbc TV. I thank my guest, Mr. Akaide Adebisi, once more for joining me on the show.
It's a pleasure, for Nigerians.
We hope to see you some other time.
Yes.
Till I come your way next time, join us tomorrow for another interesting edition of Newspaper Today. Good morning and have a wonderful day.